spot the change.
Okay.
My clothing is different.
Camera's good. We have to check the camera, slight costume change, and we're back.
I was warm. I was getting warm.
I know, we're getting deep. I love this.
Yeah.
My favorite. See, we could talk for hours. I told you 5
did.
hours later.
We did talk for hours.
Yes, we did. Let's continue on. Okay.
Welcome to Empowered Now. I'm your host, Colette Kati. Join me as we talk all things to uplift, encourage, teach, inspire, and empower you to see your best self, to live your best life, and to thrive wherever you are.
So this experience of leaving my faith, changing like my belief, losing my beliefs, leaving my faith, knowing that it would like really mess with my whole community. So the faith we grew up in has that is what they win at. Community.
The community, yeah. We definitely.
Oh, if I could have that again. It's the thing I'm forever reaching. Please. I'm still trying to learn. So for context, it's been 12 years. Been 12 years. So like I am very, at peace with it. I've gone through the hard part of it like long ago. And I feel established in my new life and myself. But forever will be, no, I shouldn't say forever. I am trying to figure out how to build the same sense of community, like in real life, people around me physically,
Right.
like that the LDS church has that just mastered.
Right. Which, if, being in the LDS church, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I feel like that's still what we're about.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you should feel like you're still in a community, even though you're not a member.
Yeah.
But
This is the
the
thing.
ideal.
This is the thing that all of the
This is the ideal.
all of the we call it ex-Mormon community. I don't want to disrespect the titles. I know.
Oh yeah, you're fine. Yeah, there's no.
But this is the thing that all the ex-Mormons all that I know will say they dearly, dearly miss, and like that was the thing ripped from their life.
Yeah.
Unless it was someone who had a particularly bad experience with that, which is rare from the people I've spoken to. Like
a bad experience with the
community. Yeah. Where they didn't want that.
Right.
Like that is the thing that they dearly, dearly miss. And especially with having talked about like our upbringing, having a sick mom for 8 years and then losing her.
Right.
Like we really had that community feeling.
Yeah.
Really benefited from that. And as an adult, I'm just like, I need to figure out how to have that feeling in my life. It's been ripped from my bosom.
Yeah.
It's gone. And part of that is the state of the world. I don't want to get into the state of the world.
That's another 5 hours long.
So social media, divide and conquer, like lonely, just individualism. I can do it on my ownness.
Yeah.
And just like talk to people online, but easily yell at them also. And like, yeah, I dream of knowing my neighbors. Mm-hmm. I'm so scared of my neighbors. I'm an introvert. I dream of knowing my neighbors and taking care of each other the way that our faith did.
Right.
Did. The faith I used to have, which we still have. Yeah. And I am actually trying to figure out how to build that more active. This is like a really fresh goal in my life that I have come to politically, actually.
Right.
Where I'm like, building community is the next most important step for me. So yeah, that's a side note, but that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's really important. And I kind of want to talk more about that because, I mean, just within my belief of the LDS religion, I feel like that's kind of what it's about. Like Christ, included everyone, and that's what we're supposed to do. And I think sometimes there's different reasons why there's not always that community feeling, even with people that aren't members of the church. Because there's that fear of like, oh, what if they don't like me because I am Mormon or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I think there's that judgment because, and we were talking about this earlier with judgments and how there can be such a, like, because we don't believe the same things, but like, I love you to your core.
I like your,
to your bones.
I like the intense eyes you got.
Yes. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
I know. I got you. And if we lived closer, I would definitely be your community. We would hang out all the time. But I think that this is human nature, and we often don't realize it. But if you're judging someone, you're projecting something that you're actually rejecting within yourself. And it doesn't have to be a direct correlation.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about gender earlier and like sexuality. And if you are a homophobe or somebody that is afraid of somebody that has the same gender attraction, hopefully I explained that right. Sometimes I feel like I get my words all wrong.
There you go.
That often, like, if you're afraid of that, or if you're rejecting, you're angry, or you're mean about that, there's a judgment there. It's because you're rejecting something within yourself. It doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I might be gay and I'm afraid of that. It just means that if you can't accept like the possibility, the openness within yourself of like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder how they feel. Like being willing to put yourself in somebody else's shoes is a skill. But it can be really scary to people because they think if I found out that I am that way and I have a belief that there's a problem with that, or I'm judging that in some way, then it's going to get projected outward. And I don't think I explained that great, but
yeah,
it's something to explore within yourself because it's true. If you are judging something in somebody else, there is a rejection happening within you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Humans really, it's just our nature to categorize and put things into boxes.
Yeah.
Like actually evolutionarily, that was a word. Like
To our evolution.
an advantage that we have, our species has, is pattern recognition. And so it's a big thing for us, and we think we're all these high-minded, smart, like, oh, we have the bigger brains and understand more.
We so smart.
But we are just our bones. In our bones, our primal nature is like we categorize things and notice patterns.
Yeah.
So that has made us advance in amazing ways, but also we get stuck in it, and it's like, wait, which box is it in? Don't challenge my system. And if you're telling me there's a different new box, I have a big adjustment in my brain. And it's cute, you know?
We're so cute. We're such assholes. We're so cute.
Hey, quick pause from the episode because I want to tell you about something that you are not going to want to miss. Are you ready to stop feeling like life is running you instead of you running your life? Introducing my Empowered Now 6-month private transformational program. This is a life-changing experience designed to help you stop self-abandoning and finally honor your needs, break free from people-pleasing, and learn how to say no without guilt. Create healthy boundaries that put you first, and take back control of your time, your energy, and your life. If you are tired of feeling stuck and overwhelmed, this program is for you. Together, we'll work closely to transform your life from the inside out so that you can live with clarity, confidence, and purpose. And don't wait, because these spots fill up fast, and once they're full, I won't be taking on new clients until next year. So if this is calling to you, you can apply now at the link in my description or go to ColetteKatie.com and apply there. Please don't wait. You are not going to regret it. Your future self is going to thank you so much because the life you have been dreaming of and the life you deserve starts with you. I'll see you there.
Okay, just, to quickly touch on what ego is to me. This, I mean, okay. Here we
I was
go.
actually going there. It was on my list.
Oh, good, good. Okay.
It's fine. It was on the list.
When I learned about ego, like the first time I read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
So good.
That was the first book.
So good.
And I actually listened to the audiobook in his voice with his just beautifully unique accent and his meditative voice. And I was like, it's washing over me.
I remember sitting on an airplane listening to The Power of Now, and my brain just felt like I was expanding. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
This is intense.
It felt like coming home to what I had already known but didn't have words for.
Yes.
And and
it's so simple. It's so simple.
It's so simple.
The Power of Now.
Yes, highly recommended. In audiobook form too, read by the author.
I'll leave you a link below, actually.
That was the first thing that made me aware of the ego. And the ego is a word that just people have used in many different ways.
Right.
And I think in our modern kind of mainstream, the mainstream way that it gets used is as a general insult, your ego.
Right, you're egotistical.
Yeah. You and your ego.
Right.
That's not the way I see it. I see the ego as the part of you that is strongly identified with something, that makes something your identity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a climber.
Yes.
I'm not someone who climbs. I am a climber. I am a musician. I am a songwriter, and you're proud of that. I am a
which you are. We haven't even gotten to that part of our life yet.
That's the main thing in my life.
But anyways,
you label yourself, and that's your ego, identifying who you are.
Yes,
and
it's not a problem
exactly
per se. It's just what we do.
It's a really useful tool, actually. Yes. There's a lot of motivational ideas that would say if you really want to accomplish something, don't say, oh, I'm trying out climbing. Say, I'm a climber. You know, your ego.
This is my identity.
Your ego can really help you accomplish things and, choose a life path and focus and live your goals and your dreams.
Yes.
But it can really wreak havoc if we don't know it exists and it's just there.
Yes. If we are identified with something so deeply that is who we are, the ego, the ego fears annihilation.
Yes.
Basically. So I know we're getting real deep. It's awesome, but it's fun. So stay with me. So the ego, the idea of I am this, I am that, is now you are this thing. If this thing were to end, now what are you?
Dead.
Right? So that's we
dead.
get afraid of our personality will end. Well, if I'm not this thing, then what am I?
I'm nothing.
I'm nothing. But that's where, and I actually coach using ego and essence, and you might even call it the body and the spirit if you're a member, and maybe that's not even a direct correlation, but essence is that is the intelligence that is you. I am thinking about how awesome Callie is. Well, who is the I that is thinking? Okay, so there's the thought, and then there's the one that is experiencing the thought. The one that's experiencing the thought, that is you to your core. That is the essence. And there's so many different beliefs around ego and essence, but to me, when I look at essence, there's nothing that can change your intrinsic self, your value, your spirit, your wholeness, your soul, whatever you want to call it, that's always there. And the ego experiencing life experiences so many different things. We flow from being a member to not being a member to a musician to now I'm a whatever. Like, I get to experience life. I'm here experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
But if that are to end, the essence is still, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so much. We could go really deep with that.
Your blue orb of light was just birthed here. And that's the part of you that goes, look at that leaf. Wow. The colors. That is so interesting.
It's like when you're a child and you're just like soaking in life.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, to get through life, we kind of categorize ourselves and we make like, oh, well, now I'm a cheerleader. Like, my friends are cheerleading. Now I'm a cheerleader. Now I'm this. And we kind of have to do that.
Yeah, to function within society.
To function. And like our personalities. But when we identify too much with the ego, then that can create a fear that separates us.
Mm-hmm. And that struggles when we see someone doing something different from what our ego wants.
Yes.
Our ego tells us that existence and life means this thing. So someone's doing this other thing, that doesn't mean existence and life to me. It threatens my sense.
And I'm glad you said that, because so many people are threatened by what they don't understand. Like, somebody has this entire different view than you, and that threatens you. And so now it's like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I'm going to reject that. And that is why we have war.
And that, children, is
And it sucks.
the problem.
Therein lies the problem. Identification with the ego.
I was going to say, when I really feel the most like freed from the ego, which is often when I'm thinking about it and learning about it, like when you're aware of the ego,
Mm-hmm.
you're not in it. When you're looking at it, that means you are not living it in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people will call like presence or oneness or awareness.
Yeah.
Or enlightenment. There's a lot of different words for it, but it's, for me, when I am feeling that, I see the ego of myself. I see the ego of others. I see ego and running rampant in the world. And I just think, oh, that's cute. It's like because it's kind of like a toddler when it acts out. It's
Yeah.
like, no,
Yeah.
don't want this.
Yeah.
This is scary. And I'm like, oh, look at this.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes, it's not all okay. But that's why once in a while when I'm like when I'm talking about people and they're like threatened feelings, I'm like, it's cute.
I have to do that with myself sometimes too. Like, Colette, what is the deal? Oh, okay, I'm really in this fear right now. Is that actually true? Like, I can ask myself, is that actually true? And I feel like we're kind of into a deep concept. And of course, you can explore more about ego and essence reading The Power of Now. Like, there's so many different tools and books and like opportunities to learn about that.
Yeah.
But I feel like simplified, it's like what we were talking about earlier. If you're afraid that somebody's life, like so I believe differently than Callie. If I were to believe that, the choices that she's making they don't align with the choices I would make, so that's wrong. And I'm either going to be afraid for her and I'm going to try to convince her of how she should believe what I believe. Or control her to try to like force her to believe what I believe. Because if I really believe my ego that I am right, the way I see the world is the correct way, the way I have like all the little things that have created my beliefs and my patterns and the things that I do, if I believe that this is the correct way, I mean, think of all the billions of people that have lived on the earth. I think my way is the absolute correct way. And if I love her, I'm going to try to control her so that she believes what I believe, so that she is safe, so that she is okay.
Yeah.
Right? You see the problem?
Yeah.
I don't need to explain the problem that you see, right? Okay? But if I can believe, like, I am essence, Callie is essence, like she has her own set of beliefs that she's developed, patterns, experiences, like everything that she's been through has shaped who she is. And not even just been through, like, I mean, this is my personal belief, which, you don't have to take in, but it's a helpful belief for me to think that her spirit or her essence is unique to her. And you have different gifts, talents, skills that not only you've developed, but that I think that you arrived here with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have the expert advice in her life. Like, I'm not the authority in her life. I get to choose for me. But if I believe that I'm right and she's wrong, that's going to be a problem. Okay? But if I can see that I've got essence, she has essence, she's experiencing life in the way that she gets to. Like, that's her right. This is her place. Then I don't suffer anymore because I can let her be who she is. And we can have conversations like this, and we can disagree, and we can agree, and we can still be like, I freaking love you. I love you. I love you. Yeah. And I think that I think it's helpful to say this because I get this question a lot. Like, how do you do that? Especially as a parent, you're going to suffer if you are going to stay in your ego and believe that everything that you think or do is right. So being able to open up your mind to the possibility that somebody else gets to make their own decisions and you might not be the authority. Like, go back to the example I just said. Like, you see the problem with believing that everything I think and say and do is right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? I'm so right.
Right. You're so right. Everything you say is like the way.
Yeah, I know. So, like, just do what I say and you'll be happy. But seriously, don't you think that as a parent sometimes? Like, just do what I say and you'll be happy? It's actually arrogant. It's actually an arrogant way to think. So just chew on that for a minute. You might be like, whatever, Colette. My kid, if they took my advice, they'd be happier. And I get that feeling because sometimes you watch somebody experiencing something sad and you can see like all the choices and the steps that they made that maybe you think if they changed those things, they would be happier.
Yeah.
But is that actually true?
You
don't know that it's true?
It doesn't necessarily, what we're saying doesn't necessarily mean that, like, advice isn't good sometimes.
Right.
That, like, you maybe would have been right about something that would have helped someone. But, I mean, I think it's a given that we have to learn through our own life experiences.
Yes.
Beliefs cannot be given from the outside.
Oh, thank you.
It's just not possible.
Thank you for saying that.
Like, things that people have said, like, phrases might come back to you, things that people made you think about, but belief comes from inside and changes from inside.
Uh-huh.
It's like, no matter what you do, like, I learned that so much leaving my church, like people who were worried for me and just like admonishing, just like, what about this?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, yeah, I hear what you're saying and I have felt how you feel before, but there's nothing I can do about it because
it's different for me now.
The belief is gone.
It's different.
It's a really, belief is an interesting, beautiful thing.
Yeah, and it doesn't make it wrong.
Yeah.
And I just want to, okay, so this is going kind of into the realm of like codependency. Like feeling like I'm right, you're wrong, like let me save you, let me control you, let me fix you. You're losing your power when you're in that space.
Yeah.
Like you are losing your power and you're also creating a separation between you and like your child or the other person, like whoever it is that you're trying to control. That's what's creating this separation, because now you're saying like you're not good enough. Like you need to be the way that I think you should be, and it might even be like noble. You might even think that you're helping somebody.
Yeah.
But you're not the authority in their life, and you're going to suffer and you're going to cause suffering in the other person. But I think it's important to also say that doesn't mean that you don't like have boundaries with people or if somebody's way of life or being does not jive with you, you don't need to be around that person. Obviously, there's people that make choices that are detrimental to other people. And that's when, okay, boundaries need to be set. But the truth is that people believe what they believe because of all the experiences that they've had. And it doesn't always mean that you're right. I feel like I'm not explaining this.
Well,
right.
there's a difference between having a confidant, talking through things you're going through, and like having advice for someone.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between that and trying to control them.
Yeah, and I think the difference is that feeling, that fear that says, if they don't believe this, then da-da-da-da-da.
Death.
Death, or they're going to be so unhappy and I can't stand if they're unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to make them happy.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that they make the choices that I think they need to make so that they're happy. See the problem?
Yeah.
If you don't see the problem, DM me. We'll have a better conversation, okay?
But leaving this faith has given me the skills to navigate loving people and having very fulfilling relationships with people with whom I just fundamentally disagree on with whom I disagree on some fundamental life things, you know,
right.
like concepts and philosophies. And that feels to me like the great important life work that humanity must do right now because of the political climate,
Mm-hmm.
the world. Oh, don't bring politics into the comments, Callie. It's
going there.
We don't have to like go there. Like what we're not going to do is like discuss the politics because the point unless you want to.
There's so
The
much
point-
there. That would be a really long podcast.
It doesn't sound fun.
It doesn't sound as fun.
The point that I want to make right now is that we have been divided and conquered. And that's what I believe and see. That for decades and decades, we've been divided and conquered, and there's just two ways to be. And that's simply not true.
It's never made sense to me.
Yeah. From childhood,
I'm like, what? Aren't we all America?
America.
Just kidding. But you know, like, why are we doing? We're so much division? Yeah.
It's so important to understand that you can love someone, and I learned this from religion. Like, okay, you would see some things about me and automatically be like, oh right, there's two ways to be, and Callie, you're over here, obviously. Like,
Oh my goodness.
like I'm queer. I am an artist.
Mm-hmm.
I am a musician. I am like kind of have a rebel activist spirit. I believe everyone should have just freedoms and rights, and like I'm experiencing this thing right now where people just see me. So I'm a musician. I'm an artist. I am trying to make a living being a songwriter and a musician. And that means it's my business. I'm learning how to like run social ads to like get more exposure to people, have people discover my music, and the world, that experience has changed drastically in the last few years. It's not working out very easily right now because people see me. Well, and to be clear, I write songs about what I believe. There are many different approaches to songwriting. That's a different podcast. But for me, the motivation and the joy of it is like, it's an extension of myself and a way that I just like blow up my whole essence and share it with the world and connect with the world through it. So yeah, I'm singing about things I think and believe and feel and have experienced, and like making those experiences big. That's what art is, you know?
Yeah.
You amplify an experience, and people, it's like a beacon to anyone else who like relates, and they're like, that. And it's a beautiful thing. I love being an artist. it's what I have to do, you know.
Yeah. And I feel like you're so good at isn't even like, it doesn't even scratch the surface. I'm like, I've always been blown away by your ability to create art with not even just the music, but the language, like your lyrics. To me, I'm always like, wow, that's amazing. Like you're so good, and you've never been able to do anything half-assed. Like
No.
That's just not who you are.
The same part of me that was like, I'm gonna rip off the Band-Aid and make myself accept the new me.
Exactly. Like it or not, here I come.
And we could go into how much this was influenced by my youth, and you know, I have aspects of my personality, strong sense of justice, strong sense of self, not wanting to like hide and mask. And okay, just in a nutshell, I will say that being born in the deep end of emotion and seeing it swimming all around me and not having the capacity to like process it or feel it the same way as those around me were, I realized a cause and effect kind of a thing where I could do certain things, art, you know, I could do art, and that elicited a reaction in the people around me that made me feel like the emotions I could not process were being just like bottled up and distributed to people who could, and they were mirroring it back to me.
Wow, that's interesting.
This has been a thing I've thought about a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
I would write
That's
a little
interesting.
poem or like sing a song, and especially in an environment where people were feeling a lot of emotion after Mom's funeral. You and I like went into our bedroom, like they were having like a lunch at our house. I feel my memories might be distorted because I was so young, but I feel like it was the same day.
So I'm like, okay, I am excited for what you're going to say. I don't remember this.
I think it was the same day. I think it was the day of the funeral. I could be wrong. It was close. There were a lot of people at our house, comforting and like making food. And so it was probably like a luncheon after Mom's funeral. And I think that I like took you into our room and got the cassette tape where our life is a movie. Pulled out the cassette tape that Dad and Mom made of love songs.
Yes.
They recorded a whole tape of love songs. Yes. Dear heart, oh my God.
Isn't that okay? That's another topic.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a nutshell though.
They
knew that she didn't have much time left. She chose a bunch of love songs and they recorded them together
on a cassette tape.
And right? I know.
So good. It's all good.
So I think I pulled you into our room and got out their little cassette tape and put it into our stereo, and everyone's, you know, I closed the door and I was like, let's learn this song right now. And we learned a song called Tenderly Calling, and that Mom and Dad are singing, and we sat there and learned it and sang the harmonies together.
Yeah.
And
Mom sang it at her own funeral.
Yeah.
Like they played that song on the cassette tape. I think that's probably why you're like, we need to learn this.
Yeah.
Because this is an important song. Mom just sang it at her own funeral. You know?
So let's learn this right now.
Yeah.
And we sat and worked out the harmonies, and I don't know, it was probably that day. That's what kids do. We went out, we have anything to perform for you.
Is it what kids do? At 8 and 11, we're like, we're going to go learn our dead mother's song.
Well, not
sing
that.
it to everyone.
But, you know, working out a thing in their room and coming out and performing it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we came out right. Let's sing this song. And I just remember knowing in my bones, like, oh, we're gonna make people cry.
Yeah, this is
gonna be a big one. I was a smart kid, I guess. We're cute, we're little, our mom just died.
Come got on. This in the bag.
It really sounds like I'm this little enterprising but I've thought about that a lot, because I remember, like, as an adult, of course, I project things onto little me, and I'm like, what a manipulative little emotional shit.
I like a little Tasmanian devil of emotion.
Wanted to make people cry.
It just felt good to cry.
I think that, and I think it's because I didn't know how to cry.
Yeah.
I felt weird not crying at Mom's funeral. That was the main thing I remember looking
So
around.
True. Me too.
Everyone's crying. I should be
crying.
And I remember trying to figure out if I could like properly act like I was crying.
Yeah.
But then that felt kind of weird.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do it.
It was like you were seeing this emotion and you felt the sadness, but it was like, well, at least for me, I remember looking around thinking, everyone's so sad and crying and I'm not crying. I remember being sad.
Yeah.
But it wasn't for several weeks after, and I don't really know how long, it could have been months, that I remember actually breaking down and crying like in our room.
Dude, I just got real bro-y. Dude, bro.
I cried too.
Bro, it was when I hit puberty. It wasn't until I hit puberty.
Well, I think that was because I was hitting puberty. Like, seriously. Because I was 11, and I remember Mom died, and it was like, oh, I'm starting my period. I have sisters, yes.
No.
But, okay, do I tell Dad? How do I do this? And I remember saying something to Dad, and then he was like, oh, shit. He's like, okay. And he was so understanding and did his best. And then it was like, I remember saying, like, I need one of these. Like, I couldn't even say the word bra. I was like, I need one of these, And like, bless his heart. I think he was so patient and he was so loving and he like did his best, but it was hard for him too. And then I remember going bra shopping with like Aunt Donna and Grandma and just like, okay, this is an interesting part of my life. I don't even remember if I had a discussion on like having your period, like maybe the school one. Anyways, that's a tangent.
Gonna go have a boob date with my aunt and grandma now.
Yeah. But I remember like, oh yeah, I didn't cry. It was probably when I was getting closer to puberty. It was like, okay, this sucks. and now it feels real. Like Mom's not here. She's not here.
It's weird. It's weird for me because because that was years for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I cried. I mean, I don't remember exactly. It was very long ago, but just, putting myself back there in my emotions, I don't remember having any breakdowns. I remember kind of being sad. And, like, I remember even ways that I, like, sought attention through being sad.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing I was doing that a little bit. They're weird memories to have.
Right.
Because they were so emotionally intense that they imprinted and I remember them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think a lot of adults remember, like, clearly moments when they were kind of being a manipulative kid. I say manipulative, like, with total innocence, because kids, they don't know.
They don't know
how to process things. But, like, it's weird to have a memory of knowing I was, like, I'm getting attention this way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or like, oh, we just did that sweet thing and that person's crying and that like it's a happy cry and not like it felt good.
Yeah, I do believe that was its whole own therapeutic thing for me because I was addicted to it. And even after I hit puberty, the emotions flooded at me and I started processing this like tragic love story. I was feeling romantic for the first time. Like, I mean, not for the first time, but I was feeling, the hormones and the deeper understanding of emotional processing. I was addicted to making people feel things that like coming up in the church was, a good venue for that. I wanted to give the talks.
The powerful, like, oh, we feel that, Callie.
I felt them. I wasn't being some little fake narcissist. Like, I did believe it, but I was like, I have so many emotions, and I'm just gonna make everyone feel them because I have this deep experience that other people haven't had. and I'm gonna make the words, I'm gonna arrange the words in exactly the right way, and I'm gonna pause at the right time, and I'm gonna shed a tear right as I deliver.
Do you feel like that's helped you in your songwriting?
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's the same part of me.
Like you're so she's good. If you haven't heard her music, we should I'm like, I don't remember if we had another way that we were going, but I want to go with music now. So let's go there.
Yeah, I would place. Okay, we both have this. Do you feel like you're ADHD? Because I am.
Oh, totally. I have not been diagnosed, but it's there. It's
for a quick moment, have we left something?
Probably. I'll probably watch this back and be like, oh shoot,
it's okay.
That whole branch.
I just wanna drive home that like I feel lucky to understand the nuances of humanity, and that I can love people who believe differently from me. And
see, you're so good. I did not remember that's where we were.
I was really trying. I was like, don't lose track.
That was really good. Like, I'm genuinely impressed right now.
Don't lose track.
I'm like, you brought it home. Thank you.
I just want to say, like, if you are out there, so I'm queer.
Now I want to go there. Okay.
We don't have to, but
I want to go everywhere.
Wherever you want to go, we'll go. I'll go where you want me to go. Me and Zach started singing a hymn yesterday in the car with Shay and Colette, and they were like, are we in the twilight zone?
We're singing hymns
we
right
might
now?
be out of the church, but we're musicians, and it was imprinted on our souls.
We know them all.
I'll go where you want me to go, Colette. Yes, as a person who has all these like, oh, I've got the check marks down where you're gonna be like, oh, them liberals. Mm-hmm. Listen, I love people, and I have an understanding that we are all out here living from our own experience, and there's not just, well, you have some political things over here that you think I'm just you out there in the universe. So that means you hate me. I know that people think and feel differently for many different reasons, and there are nuances to it. And I just want to say that because I have left my religion, and I'm just making an example, say I'm a gay person over here, and this is a real thing that a lot of people experience. Like, I'm gay, and you're supporting a religion that teaches that is not okay, and that bars you from certain things eternally. Like, these are hard things to navigate with your family, and a lot of people have learned, okay, well, they believe in this religion for other reasons, and my gayness is not the main issue for them, and it's sad that maybe they can't fully understand that thing about me, but we've come to a place where I know it's not their main issue and that they do love me. I'm saying there are nuances that have made many people able to love and have a relationship with their family in different religions. Mm-hmm. That what I was saying was just an example, and I don't judge people for having boundaries where they do have to cut people off in their life. Let me make that clear.
Right.
Some people need to cut people off for safety. But there are many experiences, and some people do learn a balance where it's like, okay, this thing we haven't understood together, but I feel loved and enough to keep a relationship. And that experience has taught me to see the same nuance politically in this environment.
Yes.
That, like, even though I'm going to be out there being an artist, being like, I believe in this specific right, this specific thing, this thing is what's good for humanity, that doesn't mean that if I talk to you, a person, and you're like, I voted this way, that I'll be like, I hate you. Well, you must think this about me, then you must. This is a big thing happening right now in my community online. Like, a lot of people are saying we shouldn't be rejecting each other, and then other people are saying, well, I don't feel safe by how you voted. So you know.
Right.
And it's, yes, I don't judge anyone for their approach, but I'm saying that I am grateful that from dividing religiously from loved ones, I've learned that I can talk to my friends who believe politically differently than I do
Mm-hmm.
with less fire and hatred
Right.
and fear.
And fear. I
Because
feel
my
like that's the main
community
one.
is afraid.
Yeah.
Whereas-
Understandably.
Yeah, there's a lot of fear.
Understandably. And that also goes into, like, I get so pissed off at the rhetoric
Mm-hmm.
on all sides, really. Like, I mean, that's a whole other thing. But
Yeah.
it's that fear. Like, there's so much fear that has been there. It's like,
Feel free to cut any of this out if I
No,
took us
you're good.
to-
no, you're good. I just feel like it's such a deeper conversation. And I know that there will be people watching or listening that are like, I definitely have a strong opinion about this or this or this. And
We've come to the part that's going to cause the.
it's totally, I mean, there's
Yes.
probably a lot of multiple parts. Oh, we've been there before. I've definitely been there before. In the comments, like, oh, cool. We brought that topic. This is coming up for sure. But
I've been living that reality, so.
yeah, it's that fear. And if we bring it back to like the conversation that we were having earlier about relationships, that fear that's what creates the separation. That's what creates the disconnect. And I'm really angry at all parties in our government for not being mindful of the way that they have led and presented themselves, because it has created so much fear. And so it's understandable, why it's there. And that's why I love this conversation, because I want to be one of the places in the world that we can have differences and we can recognize that we are essence.
Yeah. And if you're watching this and you relate in any way to like, oh, this person in my life, maybe I could talk to and not be so afraid. That's great. If you're watching this and you're like, don't tell me I can't cut people out of my life, you can.
Oh yeah, yes. You got to cut people off.
If that's your situation,
thing, you do it.
yes. If your fears, your needs
Your
are
safety
valid,
calls for it. Yeah.
your the rights that you dearly need, the situations that you've lived with, and the way that people are threatening or talking to you, like, this is valid.
Yes.
We're not telling you you gotta go make up with the person who's hurting you.
Mm-mm. No, boundaries are there for a reason, and they are because we have the power to create safety for ourselves, and that's empowerment, and that's what I try to help all of my clients come to. Like, what is your truth? How can you live from your truth and create safety in your world so that you can truly live your truth? And that takes boundaries. And sometimes that really sucks because you do have to cut people off. Yeah, sometimes.
Oh, well, I went political,
I
and you were
went there.
You were headed toward another topic.
I would go with you because I feel like it is safe.
Yeah.
Like, we have created this safe space, at least between us, to be able to have these conversations.
Yeah.
And open hearts, open minds. Like, that's what I want. Where I wanted to go also. Oh, there's so many ways. I feel like I should check the camera because we have been talking for a long time.
And then we'll do part 5.
I know. I was like, I don't know. I'm wondering if we should end and make a note so that next time we can address some of these other topics that I really want to get into.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like you brought one up, though.
I did.
And I feel bad that I was directed.
That's okay. Well, you were talking about your music.
Yeah.
Which I really wanted to go into. We have our family music. We have you have your projects that and we're gonna work on a project together. Like, just music is such a big one for us and our family and all that. But I also want to talk about your transformation of now recognizing that you are queer.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that was a big, I just kind of like,
it's a big one.
we threw out some little teasers there.
Like, I'm queer. Anyways, and then this, like, that's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a huge transformation to come to. And I know how scary it can be for anybody in your community, trans, I can't remember
all the queer community.
All the queer community. Like, and I think, especially coming from my perspective, I feel sometimes scared, and I think a lot of people feel scared to like get it wrong. Like, oh no, I don't want to offend you by saying the wrong thing, or
it's a valid fear in this day and age, in the internet age,
or not understanding, or like saying something that I'm totally oblivious to that is offensive to you, or would be important in a different way to you. And so so it's hard to navigate that type of conversation.
Yeah, I'm scared of all those things too.
Right.
It's
like, but let's just, we love each other.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying, like, let's just create an attitude of love and understanding for the way that we stumble, and the way that, stumble through this together, and the way that we are. But I know for you, coming from, living a certain way, living in the church, living straight, however you want to say all of that.
Yeah. Fitting in.
Fitting in, yeah. Feeling like you belong, or like tried to fit in. Maybe you didn't really feel a belonging at that time, to now you're outwardly living who you are now.
Yeah.
And chrysalis keeps coming up to my mind.
Yeah.
I know that's another topic.
Yeah.
But it kind of flows into this, because you have now become like somewhat of an advocate and a voice for the queer community. And you're now recognizing that there is a lot of hate that is now being thrown at you, and that pisses me off. But I want to know for you, like, how do you navigate?
So as far as the hate goes, because it's so intense right now. It has changed. It's changed, especially for the trans community. So
So wait, it's changed, like gotten worse?
Yes. Like, so I've known for a decade that, like, at first it was like, oh, I'm bisexual. And like, this is easy. Okay. Like, I haven't felt the same kind of traumatic kind of persecution that so many people have in their different gender expressions and sexuality, and just their different expressions of who they are. Because I identify with like all the things. So like when I was a kid and I was a super romantic person, it was like nothing was slapping me in the face going, oh no, I can't live my truth. I can't be attracted to who I'm attracted to, because I could be attracted to anyone that I was attracted to. I'm pansexual. So I can be attracted to a female, male, a trans person, a person who feels no gender or all gender. If I am attracted to a person's mind and like who they are, then I can be attracted to them. So as a kid, it wasn't like I didn't have options. I had all the options. And so that made it incredibly easy for me to just ignore the ones that were outside of like, oh, the boy that I like. If I had a crush on a girl, it was really easy to not realize that was a crush. Now I realize.
Really?
Now I know exactly which relationships from high school were like with girls were different from the other like friendships with girls. Like I know exactly which ones that was clearly a big old crush, and that one was just like, that was my best friend.
Right.
Totally different. And it's just kind of cute and funny now looking back at it with clarity as an adult. But the newer thing that I only started understanding this year, at the beginning of this year, was the gender side of that. Like the parts of me that were living in the masculine gender more and didn't understand the reactions to that. And I have learned, as I have become more and more free and empowered in myself in every way in my life, you know, you get older, you care less about like fitting in.
Ideally.
And
Yeah.
yeah, if you're
It's
working
nice.
on understanding yourself,
Right.
then it
right.
tends to move that direction where it's like, oh, now there's kind of the stereotype of I'm in my 30s now. I don't care what people think as much. There's a new level of that as you know,
As you get
as you
older,
age.
it's like, oh, I actually like myself. I like this about
Yeah, now I'm even more free.
me. Now I'm even more expanded.
And I find myself approaching a new level of that. And I've noticed a steady progression that I get more and more masculine with more and more freedom. And for me, I am non-binary. And it's hard to talk about in a public setting without like a controlled audience that I know who they are.
Right.
Because I know that that labels have become buzzwords. With what I mentioned, with the political climate and the divide and conquer of it all, is like things become buzzwords. And it's just saying non-binary or pronouns or like certain words like will just ignite certain parts of the internet with ridicule.
It's very true. Which, you know, we might get that on here, but I will not allow hate on my comments. So
the thing is, the more I know myself, the less the hate hurts.
right, exactly.
I learned that from like the beginning of my YouTube experience, that if somebody came into my comments, like, you know, when I was new to the internet and even getting comments, scary.
Yeah.
you know more than I do how scary that is. But like, I learned quickly that someone saying, your lyrics aren't very good. You sound like you don't read enough books. Like this is really like not intelligent sounding lyrics. You need to read more books. That would make me like, they think I'm so stupid.
What do I need to do? I need to read more books.
That would like, do I seem like an idiot? Or my song's bad? But because I was like, I really want to be a good songwriter and this is my dream and I hope I'm good enough.
Yeah.
But if someone came into my comments and said something way worse, your mom died. Like, I'm glad your mom, you know, something so
really, really unconscious.
outlandishly, like trying really hard to sound evil, you know, like you're an ugly person. It's like, it's a good thing your mom, you know, so, and that wouldn't even faze me. So that made me realize quickly that it's like, well, something that I'm secure about in my life,
doesn't hurt you.
It doesn't hurt.
Right.
What does hurt? So bullying about like queer issues is kind of a different category from that. That hurts in a way that I'm seeing a hate group. It hurts my soul, like, for humanity. And even if they're saying some like such heinous things to me, I'm not going, why do you think that about me? I'm going,
you're seeing that it's the community that's suffering.
Yeah, I instead of like, don't say the mean things to me, I'm thinking, I don't want my trans people to see this.
Yeah.
My comments. Because they're like, I know them.
Yes.
I know them in real life. And so going back to like, I realized I'm non-binary, and that can be like a lot of people consider non-binary to be under the trans kind of umbrella, because it is not identifying transgender I've seen defined as not identifying with the gender you were assigned at birth. So for non-binary people, non-binary can take a lot of different forms. Someone can feel like they don't have gender,
Yeah.
or they can feel like they have all the genders, or they can feel like they're like more to this side of the spectrum, but don't want to be fully defined as that.
Right.
So non-binary means binary is just like two options.
Yeah.
And I don't identify with just fully one of these options.
Right.
And so it's interesting. I've learned a lot about just the different ways that different generations approach these ideas. And coming up in the 90s, you know, like, being a millennial, it was like we had this, we grew up with this empowerment and liberation idea that was like, don't label me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have noticed a lot of millennials who kind of have a misunderstanding of non-binary people because they're like, why the labels? Why do they care so much about labels? You know?
Right.
But what I've come to realize is that we want the same things. Like as feminists in the 90s who were like, don't tell me how to be a woman, you know? Don't tell me I have to wear this or talk this way or act this way. Clearly that what we were telling the world to not define us, it didn't work.
Right.
Because new generation came up and started saying, listen, stop. Like, you're trying to put us in these boxes and continue to define us, just like we didn't like how we were being like put in boxes. So we're going to teach you now what the boxes are.
Right.
If you want labels,
we're using the boxes now.
If you want
instead of not
labels,
putting them up.
you want labels so bad, let me tell you what mine is.
It's like instead of getting rid of the ego, let's just use it to help us. We're going to use this for.
Let me break it down for you.
Let me break it down for you.
If you're gonna say this is what a woman has to be, and you're not gonna listen to like people fighting against that, well then I'm gonna tell you a new label. This is what I am.
This is what I am.
So
Yeah.
that's
was why the labels.
Yeah, that was a big realization to me. Just noticing the different kind of generational ways of processing ideas is like, you might think that this younger generation who started coming up with these new terms doesn't understand what your generation was trying to do with liberation. But you want the same things,
right?
You know? If you want liberation, that is. If you want equality, you want the same things. And somebody asked me if I was transgender because my band played a show at an event that was like a queer inclusive event. And I was talking to a non-binary person, and they were just curious. I think it was they were going to help plan a transgender awareness event. Right. So they wanted to make sure they were like highlighting transgender artists specifically. And so they asked me, like, are you transgender? And I was like, well, kind of, well, maybe. and I was like, wait, why can't I answer this right now? Because that was at the point when I was only identifying as like, oh, I'm queer, I'm pansexual. Like, so it was so funny to me that I was like, why couldn't I just answer that question? And it seems like an easy question to answer. And it put me sent me down this rabbit hole where I was like, yeah, I am non-binary. My inner experience is non-binary. I don't need people to change the pronouns that they use for me. But that doesn't mean, like, I could be called she, her, called a woman till the day I die and not be offended. But I also don't feel like that's the only thing that defines my experience. And when, in rare times when I am gendered male, like, it's happened. It's happened a handful of times in my life. Like, I feel like I present quite female. I mean, my style gets more and more masculine, and I feel more and more myself because I'm kind of blurring the lines. But there have been times in my life when people have been like, oh, and I'm ordering at a restaurant, and they're like, and you, sir? And I don't realize they're talking to me for a second because I'm not used to being referred that way. And then I was, oh, they're talking to me, and a little happy dance happens inside.
You're like, yay!
I'm like, I think that would make me feel bad if I didn't have that in me.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a special little treat, actually. I don't need it.
You don't need it. But you're like, oh.
But if someone sees an essence in me and like that's the side they notice and they refer to me that way, I'm like, I love that. And
so cool.
It has brought me like closer in my relationship to Zach, my partner. Like he's also, and I don't need to speak for him and tell his whole story. He's queer as well and not gender binary. So like learning this together has brought us so much closer, and like we just have really fun aspects of our relationship now, like where we can bro out together.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I could go into, that's a whole different thing, but the ways that it has changed my relationships in my life with people who love me and understand me, and how affirming and wonderful that experience is. Like feeling like I've arrived, I'm me. So yeah, it's been wonderful, and exactly at a really inconvenient time when everyone's hating that more than anything.
But also I feel like maybe, life happens, and sometimes I like to see it as, there is higher power and there's stuff happening that we can't see. Like you're coming forward that way, or you're presenting that way, or you're showing forth your truth right now in a time where it's like most needed. Like for you to sing, if you haven't heard her song Chrysalis,
Come bully me about it.
Do not go bully her about it. I will come find you. Just kidding.
Sorry.
But it is a beautiful song about, you use, what's his name?
So I was inspired.
Yeah.
It was actually shortly after the event, it's shortly before it. So the event I was talking about where we played the queer inclusive show, and I got asked the question, was like, well, I'm discovering a thing about myself now. I believe shortly before that, it was all over the news that a non-binary kid, Nex Benedict, was bullied, hardcore bullied, beat up in the school bathroom. They were a non-binary kid. And that, like, using they pronouns, I know that is, like, new to people. And understandably, like, oh, you're adjusting your brain. Like we talked about, pattern recognizing humans. Yeah.
It's definitely a challenge for me. And I have friends and colleagues that are they, them. And it's like a workout sometimes. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try because I care. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for the grace that I received from them, because it can be, because it's like, this is new to me. It is different. Like pattern recognition, like you said, I'm used to he, her, and all of that. And so people do ask me, like, why do you have your pronouns on your Instagram, on your Zoom? It's like, we did that in the program that I learned coaching through, because there were so many of us that were different. We wanted to make sure everybody got seen and heard the way they.
Well, and that's not. Well, and your friends like recognize that's a love and an effort. Like you making that effort is a love. Right. Like, so yeah, like it's easy to give grace to people who are like, I want to do what makes you feel right. Yeah. And also, you make a good point, like putting your own pronouns somewhere, even if you don't need them to be different from how you've always been referred to. Like, that's actually a good way to show that you're a safe space for people who do have, like, pronouns that have changed. Or, right. And even, it's even a kind way to, like, when you're introducing yourself to someone and you might suspect that they're queer, you might suspect or you don't know their pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
You can, even instead of being like, what are your pronouns? I think it's okay to ask. It shows that you care. But even instead of that, you can just say, hi, I'm Callie, she, they, or you can just announce your pronouns. These are my pronouns. And that makes someone realize, oh, you understand and you're leaving room for me to share mine with you. So like, that's just a kind, inclusive thing to do.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think people get all stressed out and worked up about the idea of accidentally. One thing that I think makes people angry about having to learn pronouns is they don't want to offend anyone. I'm a good person. Mm-hmm. Like, how dare you think I'm a bad person? If I get something wrong, how dare you? And that like makes them too uncomfortable to imagine that they might be judged because they did something wrong. And that's just, it's a level of like kind of crippling perfectionism. Would you call that? I don't know. Like, you don't have to be perfect. It's okay not to be perfect.
Right. Which I think, it helps. Like you were saying, how certain comments don't affect you because you feel secure. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that might be non-binary or trans or whatever they may be, and maybe they don't feel quite secure in that, and maybe it does make them angry when others are not,
when they get it
wrong. Yeah, and I hope like it goes both ways. Like I want to, at least for myself, I want to create a space where I'm open-minded and can adjust, and like be respectful. But I think it's that fear of like, if I get it wrong and then I get accused of being like this stupid, insensitive, like non-supportive, sexual, it's like you get scared.
You grow up like, I care about people.
I care about people.
I want to be a good person. And then you're exposed to just a world of people and you're like, please no, I love people. I swear I'm a good person. Like, and I think the most growth happens when you can get past I need to prove I'm a good person.
Yes. Because then it's like you're willing to not get it right, and it's okay.
Yeah. Even if you offended someone.
Yeah.
You can just move on and try again and not have to feel defined by having made a mistake.
Yes. And I have to say that whole attitude goes way back to like the basics of what I help people with. And that is that not needing somebody else to be okay with you in order for you to be okay.
That's hard.
It's hard, but it's so much better. There's freedom when you can allow others to live the way they live, and that you let yourself live the way you want to live, and you can coexist. And sometimes that means that you set boundaries with people. That means that you remove yourself or remove people from your life. But I think that the more we can be willing to be open-minded, open-hearted, and not think ourselves the authority on everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, you are the authority in your life, in your patterns, your beliefs, your everything. You are the authority. You're not anybody else's, even your kids. I'm sorry. Yes, you have stewardship over them. It is your job to build them into humans that are good people and do their best, but you don't get to control what they choose and their agency and their experience of life. And thankfully, you don't get to choose that, because how scary is that when you really believe that somebody else has to be the way that you want them to be and they're not? You're disempowered. You lose your power.
Yeah.
There's no power there. And it's not fun, and it's painful. It's a lot of pain when you need somebody else to be okay for you to be okay, because you don't have control over there. So that's,
humanity is pain, man.
It is pain.
Life is pain.
Life is pain.
Sorry.
You mock my pain. Never do it again. Movie quotes.
Yeah. Yeah. I just realized that I went off on a caveat explaining Next Benedict So yes, I wrote a song. I was very, oh yes, sorry, I didn't finish the story. Your next Benedict, you probably saw it in the news. It was very tragic. Just a kid in high school got bullied so heinously and had to go to the ER. Got beat up at school, and had to go to the ER and died the next day. And it was kind of confusing what killed them, and it was really painful for the queer community, and people were up in arms about the whole story. And there are endless stories like this. I don't know if you're not familiar with the queer community or anyone in your life, like who is trans, you might not know how many people lose their lives. Like,
right.
Just they can be very afraid to be who they are, to express who they are.
Understandably.
Yeah, they're not wanting to come out and just rub things in your face and be like, I'm different, give me attention. They are desperately trying to live their truth in the face of a lot of fear and feelings of unsafety sometimes.
Yes.
And people lose their lives. And this one, it happens a lot, but this one hit me really hard. Something about the timing, the photo of this kid next just looked like a beautiful person. I could just see their soul. I was like, this baby, this sweet, innocent human who was just trying to build their life, just starting to live and express. And it hit me really hard. And I just cried for a few days, and I wrote a song about it. The song was about just the trans hate that is living in the world that is being pushed.
Which was so ironic.
Yeah. It was, no matter the political views or reasons that people have for voting how they vote, I know there are so many different reasons, but I think that it's good to be aware of this. We can't control what's going on out there,
Mm-hmm.
We can't control what happens in our government. We have very little control, and we do our best to understand and support what means something to us. And I know many people don't have any experience with or reason to be thinking about transgender people in their particular lives and their experiences. So we are where we are, and I just want people to understand that transgender people don't feel safe right now, and that they are being heinously targeted and bullied. And for any person in power to choose a minority group to really single out, it's dangerous for that group. So I want people to be aware, because I don't believe that most people, even if they did vote for Trump, I don't believe most of them hate transgender people. I don't believe that. I see most people as being reasonable, and you should be able to do what you want to do, live your life, make your own decisions. But it's important to know that there are hate groups that feel empowered,
right,
and are making people feel really unsafe. Look out for the people around you.
And so you experienced, and I just want to reiterate in case you didn't know, like her song Chrysalis, she did receive a lot of hate from specific hate groups that targeted her, which was so ironic because that was the song.
It was what the song was about.
What the song was about. I was like, what is happening right now? This is crazy. But I think it is important to be aware of, we can't control everything, obviously, but where do you stand? And how can you become part of the solution and not part of the problem? And that's what I want this conversation to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say that, like I said, my experience, my particular gender expression and experience with my gender and my sexuality, both, which are different things. They're different things. But my general experience with those things has been within the two binaries and between them, and I have not experienced the same kind of like hate that a lot of people with different expressions get. I am not like transitioning from one gender to another, like visibly, and
Right.
like I have not experienced near the amount of hate that so many other people in this community have. And so I realized my privilege when a group targeted a post on Instagram about my
Right.
song Chrysalis, which the metaphor of the song Chrysalis is, you know, a cocoon, a creature in a cocoon that will become a butterfly. The very picture of transition, you know, transness. And the metaphor was a little boy stomping around the garden looking for something to kill, because I believe that so many people in power understand that if they can target a group to make us all hate each other, then it's divide and conquer. It truly is. Like it's easier to control, or easier to gain support when you have mutual disgust.
Right.
Disgust is a really powerful, specific feeling. And that it's a playbook that's been used on many different minorities over the ages, you know.
Right.
So anyways, the song was about a bully looking for some juicy little life that they can stomp, you know.
And then they showed up.
And and then, you know, the song ends as a kind of a tribute to Next Benedict. Let us be the eaves on the building, the leaves that shelter the cocoons. Let us be the, you know, it's a creature growing how it's going to grow, and we should just protect it, whatever it's doing. And somehow I hit somebody's thread, somebody's algorithm. And it was clear that it was a pathetic little, it was a effort by a group. That's
Right.
what seemed clear, is that they were,
Like they all had this
were in
same
this
idea,
together.
this same belief that they needed to attack.
What happened was my post got shared way more times than it got liked or commented even.
Right.
Like the shares were through the roof, and I was like, oh. And every comment, like every 2 seconds that I refreshed, it was just like, again, one of those ridiculous, stupid comments that's like, oh, wow, you're really trying to sound as mean as humanly possible.
Which, like,
again, like, that doesn't hurt my feelings, you idiot. But it hurt in a different way.
It hurt because you saw the way that the community is being targeted, and how there's actual groups formed that are all about living out their idea that they are right.
Yeah.
And this group of people is wrong. And so, you know, without getting too much further into like the ins and outs of it, I feel like rounding this kind of like this topic out, I feel like, what do you think is, you know, just speaking to the individuals watching this video, because that's where we have our voices being heard at the moment, like what would you say to them to like be part of the solution here? What advice? What insight?
I would say, I'm going back to community. I think we need to watch out for each other. And I've even spoken to close friends of mine who have completely different political opinions than me who supported Trump. And I don't know, it's been a weird experience. It's been a weird year. I've softened in some ways where I'm like, whoa, we're really in a place. What's the most effective thing I can do? And I've spoken to friends calmly and just explained, I am not here to judge you. I am not here to be like, why would you? But I'm not here to like confront you. I love you. I've only just recently learned about your, who you politically support. And for some reason, a switch flipped in me where I was like, I'm not going to go argue. I'm going to stop fighting people online and saying, how could you?
Right.
Because, and again, it's fine if you're doing that. I am not judging you. I understand your trigger. I understand the feeling. How could you?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel unsafe. But something switched in me where I was like, I need to talk about this to them.
Yeah.
And I need to come and say, I'm not here at all to try and convince you to change your mind or to vote differently next time. I am only here to tell you this is really happening. I'm not accusing you of bullying people. I'm not accusing you of hating people. I'm here to tell you it's really happening. Mm-hmm. And you probably don't see it because you're not in the same online circle.
Right. You're not in the same community.
You're not following all the queer creators and trans people, but it's happening. And trans creators are in a phase right now where they are saying, they're telling their following, this is really dark, if I die, if I look like I unalived myself, I didn't.
Right.
Because they're like, please investigate. If I end up looking like
that's so sad.
Because of the flood
of hate.
The flood of death threats and people even like sending them, I know your address, this is your name, this is your address.
It blows my mind that there can be so much fear in people that they are willing to attack people in such a way.
Yeah. And since I don't actually believe that most people who supported Trump hate trans people, I think that this small little empowered group of jerks,
and we hope that it's really small.
Yeah. I think these crazies over here, well, these people who really,
they have their own set of beliefs.
Who have some issues.
And they think they're right. Do you see the problem?
Yeah, that I think it's small. I do. That's my optimism, my hope for humanity.
Right, we hope it's small.
And that's why I want you, if you're one of these people, don't hit people. It's good to know that it's happening and watch out for your people. I asked my friends when we spoke and came to an understanding, and they of course were like, no, I do not. I am all about LGBTQ rights. And I just had these other economic issues. Politics are complicated.
They're very complicated. Oh my goodness.
We know different issues speak to different people, and they may not even be aware of a whole category of life that is happening over here. So awareness. Take care of your people. I asked my friends, like, well, if this gets real bad, will you protect me?
Right.
And they were like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, come stay at our house. We'll protect you.
And I love that you said, not just like acknowledging like where you are at in your own acceptance and tolerance and love and creating community for somebody, but be aware that it is happening.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah. And to be there for people. And be part of the community that is a safe space.
Yeah. I'm not trying to fear monger and say, oh, the world's going to this scary, scary place. I don't know. I do not know the future. But you don't want to be someone who sees a crazy turn of events happen where a minority group is being truly, horrible things are happening legally, you know,
right. We've
something changes.
We've seen it in history, and we don't want to see it.
Yeah,
again.
you don't want to see that happen and be like, what?
Yeah.
How did this happen? When? I didn't know this was happening.
You're not even like acknowledging or being aware of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. That's really important.
I hope that won't happen. I don't think it will happen, but there are a lot of people afraid that it will who feel very personally attacked, very understandably.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So be kind to them.
Yes. I mean, that is what we're trying to say here. Can we just be kind?
Be nice.
I mean, we're all humans. We all have essence. Every one of us. And that's what I choose to believe. Yeah, that's where I choose to live my life from. And I feel like I would love to hear your comments of what you have experienced in this podcast and this topic. All the topics. We did it. We did it.
I don't think we thought we were going to
I kind of knew we were.
Yeah.
I kind of knew we were. I didn't know that it would go as long, but I'm here for it because I love the conversation. And I feel like there needs to be more willingness out there to have conversations that might be uncomfortable. But I think, and I guess I want to acknowledge that, we have a foundation where it does make it easier for us to have these conversations. Because I know I've got your back and I know you've got mine, and I hope you know that I've got yours forever.
There's nothing about any part of this conversation that has been hard for us.
Right.
The only variable here that for us is, are we explaining it right? Will we be understood?
No, we have to just...
Are we offending anyone? Well, I mean, people might be offended, but it's like, when you learn more, you do better. Like, please forgive if I've said anything wrong or implied anything.
Right. Well, and I think that you have to be willing to have the conversations. And if something gets said, like, I always know it's in, like, we've got each other, so it's okay. But I think that is also attributed to doing your own internal work. Mm-hmm. Because when you are doing your own internal work, then people's stuff isn't going to hit you. Because if somebody is judging you, they're talking about you, they're tearing you down, it is about them. And I know it doesn't make sense, but it is about them. It's not about you. It's about their internal stuff and their need to create some type of safety for themselves, and they think they're doing it in the best way, and that's not the best way.
Yeah.
So as you do your own internal work and ask yourself the questions, okay, I'm having fear around this. What does that mean? Instead of taking that fear and projecting it outward, you're going to be part of the solution, and you're going to be free. You're not going to have this fear and anxiety and stress that is so rampant in people. I mean, like full spectrum of people. Like everybody has fear and stress and all of the things. But as you do your internal work, your stuff doesn't get triggered when other people's stuff is being expressed. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and I just want to say real quick that, because I realized I didn't finish the thought, it really made me realize my privilege when one of my posts got a targeted bully group, and I was like, oh, I'm not even. Whoa, okay. There are trans creators whose entire accounts are dedicated to educating about trans things. And I'm experiencing this hate wave for the first time, and
one post.
It hurts.
Yeah.
like I just want to acknowledge my privilege of not having experienced that before,
and how brave,
and how much how much it made me feel for that community more. And and if you look for it now, it's gone. I turned off my ads so it wouldn't reach the wrong people, and I blocked them all over and over and over and over, and I deleted the comments.
Right. Yeah.
They trickle in every once in a while, but I chose to get rid of any trace of it so that my community wouldn't show up and have to see it.
Yeah. So that's smart. Yeah. Anyways. Well, I've loved having you on. I love it. So Callie we didn't really get to the music part, which I kind of love because like mostly when people see you and me, it's like they think, oh, music.
Yeah.
Callie and Colette. It's about music.
We touched on it a lot.
We did touch on it. But if you want, I will leave Callie's information in the comments below so you can see if you're watching this on YouTube. Also on Spotify and Apple in the description. Just go check it out and go give Callie some love.
Some of you are probably aware of me just from like the interactions from past like involvement I've had on like Shea Tards and Colette things. And I have my social accounts out there, but I honestly live in my music now. Like I don't really do anything with my personal YouTube channel, my personal Instagram. My band is like, okay, this is where I live now.
Yeah.
So any expression of me online is Die Shiny.
It's Die Shiny. And her music is phenomenal. She has it's good. Stop. It's really good. So please go check her out, Die Shiny, her and Zach, and give her some love.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love you. And let us know in the comments any topics that we didn't touch today. I don't think there's any. But I'm sure I will have Callie on again at some point. And I want to reiterate, like, do your inner work to be part of the solution, not just for others, but for yourself, so that you don't have to have that internal conflict, that internal pain that creates pain outward. And I definitely will talk more about that. That's what I do. If you guys are interested in learning more about coaching with me or other opportunities to work with me, you can go to my website, ColetteKatie.com, fill out an application, or shoot me a DM. That's usually how I connect with people. If you have questions about coaching or you want to know more, shoot me a DM. I will be there. Thank you guys again, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye. Was there anything else you wanted to say?
No.
Okay. Let's go.
We did it. We did it.
We did it. We did it right. Let's go get some food.
Yes.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for watching Empowered Now. If anything you heard today resonated with you and you want more, please like and subscribe so that you won't miss an upload. You can also follow me on social media at Colette Katie. And if you're interested in working with me more closely through coaching or other opportunities, go to my website, ColetteKatie.com. It is my hope that you will continue to come back and experience for yourself the benefits of choosing an empowered life. Your feedback and your experience are very important to me, so please take a moment to connect with me in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on today's episode, ideas for future topics, and ideas for guests that you would like to see. And as always, thanks for your time, support, and your courage to live empowered now.